If a loved one is completely drained physically, emotionally, and has no energy left, is there any way to inspire them?
No. You have to go through 3 circles of fate. In the first circle, you start with yourself and develop a positive habit. That means your body begins to live in the right rhythm. If you're lacking water energy, you won't feel like drinking, you'll feel drawn to water. If you're low on sun energy, you'll want to fast or go out into the sun or head to a sauna. That gives you sun energy too. When air energy is low, you think, I'm feeling down. I need a walk. That's a positive habit when your body craves the right things. That's how you overcome the first circle of fate, the one within you. The second circle is between you and your loved one. That's when you start simply talking to them. You say something like, it feels so good just sitting in water. My wife has a big deficiency in water energy, same with me. It's exactly like your case, no different. She's extremely sensitive. We have to close all the windows, it has to be quiet. She can't tolerate any noise. As for me, I get emotionally reactive in our relationship. If she says something in the wrong tone, I take it hard. That's also a lack of water energy. I realized it. I started spending more time sitting in water. My emotional state improved, and I felt calmer with my wife. I started telling her water brings such peace. It's so nice to sit in water. She'd respond, well then sit in it. At first she just smiled and said, why are you always pushing your methods on me? I have my own. I said, that's fine. But I kept telling her gently. Over time, once the connection was there, the energy exchange began. I wasn't pressuring her, I just shared sincerely. Eventually she started to understand that this matters to me. She'd ask, have you done your water time today? I'd say, not yet. And she'd go, well, go do it. Then later she'd ask, did you do your static exercises? That's the second circle of fate. She understands it's important, even if she doesn't know exactly for whom. The third circle of fate, that's when the person themselves starts to realize they need this too. It all happens gradually without pressure. One time, we went to a lake with my assistant Daria. We have a professional working relationship. She approaches things differently. She just took in the knowledge and started doing everything properly, by the book. My wife was walking with her, watching her. Daria went straight into the cold lake. My wife thought, well, maybe I should join her. Women enjoy doing things together. So she got in too, sat in the cold water, then went to the hot springs, then back into the cold water again. When she came home, she said, I feel like I was reborn. Why didn't I know this earlier? And oh, how badly I wanted to say, I've been telling you this for 3 years, woman, but I couldn't. Love stopped me. Instead, I just said, really? That's awesome. Because I know you can't talk to your loved ones like that. So I told her, that's wonderful. I'm really glad it's helping you. I didn't follow up with, see, you should do this now, regularly. I didn't act like that. Because you have to learn the rules of family life. You have to know how to speak to your partner. Trying to push your point or prove you're right never works in close relationships. So you start by changing yourself, then you share what helps you, and gradually they become interested too. When the sun rises, the shadows disappear. In the Vedas, shadows symbolize ignorance. When the sun rises, ignorance and darkness go away. There is a song that says that when darkness and ignorance surround the heart, what you need is knowledge. The light of knowledge is like the sun. As the song goes, the birds stopped singing, the starlight touched the rooftops. In this hour of sadness and sorrow, hear my voice. Knowledge is transmitted through sound, through the voice, through vibration. The night will pass, and the clear morning will come. I know happiness awaits us. The storm will pass, and the sun will rise. When the sun rises, knowledge fills our lives again. So you ask, how do we get through the night in our relationship? How do we help someone realize how to live right? It begins with you. Your voice can eventually bring someone back to life, but not through pressure. Just share kindly what's bringing you joy. Today we're exploring the topic of happy family relationships. Let's go deeper. We are eternal souls. In truth, we're not meant to live in this material world, but in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, our ego exists only to serve others. But here, in this reality, all we do is think about our own lives and ourselves. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you genuinely thought about caring for someone else? When you fall asleep, when you wake up, when you go through your day, your thoughts are mostly about you. How do I live better? Why don't I have what I want? Why don't people understand me? Me, it's always about me. This constant self-focus is called the sleep of the soul. In this material world, the soul is asleep, lost in thoughts about itself. But real life, true soul life, begins when a person forgets about themselves and wakes up thinking, who can I help today? What can I give? But I feel terrible. Doesn't matter. But nobody loves me. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you love others. This mindset is called soulful awakening, or even holiness. A holy person is someone filled with God. And when you're filled with God, you feel spiritually rich, whole, not lacking anything. And all you want to do is give that joy to others. Only in this state, when the soul is eager to serve, to give, can a person truly use the energy of love in the right way. The energy of love can only exist in the space of selflessness. When people truly want to take care of each other, when they forget about themselves, love flows freely. And really, this kind of state is only possible by the grace of God. For example, God may place a mother into this divine state of love because a baby needs to survive. To preserve a baby's life, God gives a mother that love. It's not that a mother is somehow extraordinary on her own, it's God who makes it happen. God gives a mother such deep love that, even without having any real knowledge of how to love correctly, she acts perfectly in love. She doesn't argue with the baby. She jokes gently. She responds with tenderness. The foundation of a mother's relationship with her baby is this warm, self-sacrificing attitude, where she doesn't think about herself at all. She's only thinking about her baby. Why didn't God give us the same kind of selfless love in marriage? Why didn't He do that?
So that we would grow.
Exactly, so that we would grow. We need a zone for development. A person can't live without love. They need love. And it's in romantic relationships that we develop. And the first thing we discover is just how deeply we crave love. We need it so much, right? Who here doesn't need love? Everyone needs love, not just a little, but desperately. We're thirsty for it. And that means we want someone by our side who does everything we need for that energy of love to flow into us. For women, that means they want a man who behaves with complete selflessness, someone who makes her feel good. And men dream of a woman who behaves with total selflessness to make him feel good. So what does a woman really want? She says, I'll take care of you, do the laundry, clean, live entirely for you, forget about myself and do everything the way you like. Right? No, she says something different. And then comes real life, full of needs, expectations, and a lack of understanding about what one should offer in return. This idea that you give first and then I'll think about giving back, that doesn't work in love. It's not, you do everything and then I'll figure out what I owe you in return. At the very least, I'll be pretty and cheerful. Well, sure, but who's going to do the laundry, the cleaning, the cooking, the childbearing? What about faithfulness and respecting your husband? You may be pretty and cheerful, but what does that actually change in life? You see, my dears, this is where our problems begin. We have an incredibly strong need for love, and we dream of finding that perfect someone. But that kind of person simply doesn't exist in this world. Everyone's the same. We're all born into a world where people are deeply focused on themselves, on their own lives. That's what material existence means, and that applies to all material planets, not just Earth. Even in the heavenly realms, there's no fully spiritual platform, even though it's more elevated than ours. So we suffer, because love has a spiritual nature, not a material one, which means real love can only exist in a spiritual environment, in a space where I want to serve others without expecting anything in return. You see what I'm getting at? The very nature of material life sets us up to suffer in relationships because your close person wants you to completely forget about yourself and live only for them. And you want them to completely forget about themselves and live only for you. So what do we all hope for? Some magical phenomenon that will just make this all work effortlessly. And that phenomenon is called being in love. Some of you might say, Dr. Torsunov, you talk theory in your lectures, but when a man truly loves you, he naturally brings flowers, even if he's selfish by nature. He naturally speaks gently, lovingly. He takes care of you, makes you feel special. He lives for you, right? That's what being in love feels like. Would you agree? Yes, and that's exactly why people instinctively chase that feeling of being in love. They think, if I feel that way, I got lucky. Life will be amazing, like a Coca-Cola commercial, everything sweet and sparkling. But in reality, my dear ones, let me tell you something important. Being in love is when God Himself turns on the flow of love for you. It's not us who turn that feeling on, it's God. And He does it so that people continue living and reproducing. Otherwise, we'd simply die out. Falling in love is kind of like a product demo in sales. You know, try and buy. First, you get a preview of how things could be, and then you're left to figure out how to actually make it work. A young seminarian once asked a priest, "How can I keep my marriage happy forever?" The priest said, "Always remember your wife as she was the very first time you saw her. No matter what she says or does, treat her as that person, and you'll stay happy with her. Because God shows you in the beginning who the person truly is, deep inside. Everything else that comes later, that's your fate playing out through them. But that's only part of the answer, because the real challenge is learning how to generate love. And that doesn't mean learning what my husband should do to make me happy. That's not the knowledge you need. You need to know how you should act in order to ignite the energy of love. Love is activated from within, and it's soul work, hard, deep work. You have to understand how it functions. Remember how old cars used to be started with a crank from the outside? It didn't always work on the first try, but then suddenly it started. Same thing with love. You have to keep cranking, keep making an effort, even if it doesn't start right away. And then all at once, it comes to life. And it's gratitude that starts the engine. When your spouse looks at you and feels grateful because you've become someone beautiful in their eyes, that's when love begins to flow. But if the falling in love phase ends before you've managed to ignite true love, then the relationship falls apart, or people just live together like strangers. And that's what some people tell me. "Dr. Torsunov, we've been living like strangers for years. It's like we never really loved each other to begin with." Well, that's because you didn't love. You were in love. And that feeling eventually faded. Some people say, "I didn't get enough of that in-love phase." For some, that reserve lasts 2 years. For others, 5, maybe even 6. Rarely does it last 7. Most people get 1 or 2 years of that spark, where everything feels natural and effortless, and then it's gone. And so people spend their entire lives chasing that in-love feeling, not realizing that real love is divine by nature. You have to work for it, do soul work to turn it on in a relationship. It's not about being lucky. Let me reveal something to you, something you all have in your heads, but you're misinterpreting it completely. It's this secret thought most people carry. Maybe I just wasn't lucky with my close person. Something's just off, not what I expected. And then comes the thought, maybe I'd be happier with someone else. Why? Because that first impression awakens the soul. You meet someone new, you feel instant heart compatibility and think, that lady would be a better fit for me, or that man gets me more than my husband. But my dears, that's just the first impression. You understand? And after that, other impressions will follow. Here's the real issue. People have this massive craving for love, but very little ability to actually give it. And that contradiction makes life deeply painful for everyone. That's the kind of world we live in. It's not about you being unlucky in love. We're all born with a limited capacity to love, and we're here on earth to learn how to do it. That's why relationships hurt so much. That's why they're so hard, because the person closest to you doesn't understand you. They don't love you the way you want to be loved, and you sit there waiting, hoping they'll start to understand you and give you love. But the thirst for love is overwhelming. It feels like the one thing we want most in the world is love, especially close, intimate love. And yet, love can come from many other sources too. The first thing a person must realize in life is this: you have to draw the energy of love from other sources and then offer it to your close person. Otherwise, the energy of love won't even begin to flow. If you think you can simply explain something to your spouse and then they'll start loving you, it won't work. Love doesn't operate through explanations. It flows only through gratitude. For example, can you force your wife to cook for you gently, lovingly, with affection? Like, "Go cook," and suddenly she goes, "Oh, sure," and lovingly rushes to the kitchen full of affection? Can that be forced? Ladies, can you be forced into that state? No. Can you force a man to joyfully, enthusiastically earn money for you? Like, tell him, "Go earn," and he says, "Absolutely, I'm on it." Can you force that? No. Something needs to happen inside him to activate that motivation. Let me ask you, is it in a man's nature to jump up and go earn money for his woman?
No.
No, then what is your nature? What would you say? To lie on the couch and watch TV, or what?
To conquer.
So is earning money not a form of conquering? Let's say the family is lacking money. That's poverty. Victory means abundance. So when a man earns money, he is conquering. He becomes a conqueror. And that implies generating substantial income.
Not through pressure.
So you don't like it when a woman tries to force you to earn money, right? And she doesn't like it when you try to force her to cook, clean, or do laundry. That's what we call a stalemate. Love cannot be activated through coercion. Trying to force it, trying to explain it, it just doesn't work. But psychologists often say, well, try being gentler. In other words, they're suggesting you manipulate your loved one. This is what psychologists now call clarifying. They suggest that you gently, sweetly, and softly encourage your husband to work hard. You say, oh no, I'm not forcing you. I would never want to make you work. I really don't. But I just feel like maybe you'd feel good about yourself if you started earning money for me. That's a subtle form of manipulation. Psychologists actually recommend this technique. Or you say to your wife, you know, when a woman cooks, cleans, and takes care of the home, she just looks more radiant, even more beautiful. That's soft pressure. That's what modern psychology teaches. They call it clarifying. This clarifying relationship is actually soft pressure. It's not the harsh, get in the kitchen woman. It's the sweet, polished version. Come on, it'll be better for you. Does it work? No. Because this kind of manipulation always gets exposed sooner or later. Let's say you convinced yourself that this was for the best. So you cooked, and then he eats, gets up, says nothing. No hello, no goodbye, no thank you. And you stand there thinking, so what was the point? I slaved away in the kitchen and he just walked off. You ladies feel that way, don't you? Yes. Does that feel good? No. You've been sweating in the kitchen for 2-3 hours. How was it? Oh, it was good, but I think you forgot to salt it properly. So let's break it down. You cooked with love, and he responds with, this was good, that wasn't, this was too salty, that wasn't enough salty. Ladies, do you really want that kind of honesty? No. What do you want? Gratitude. You want appreciation. You want to feel joy in your heart. You want to hear, thank you, right? So now let's really ask, seriously, when someone finishes eating, does gratitude naturally arise in their heart?
When you cook for yourself, you're grateful. That's great.
Yes, you're just grateful to yourself. That's the truth. Let's say I imagine my wife cooked a meal. I eat it and think, delicious. And sure, maybe I feel a bit grateful, but mostly I'm just focused on enjoying the food. I'm sitting there, it's good, I feel great. Maybe I'll say, wow, that was really good, and that's it. Mostly my mindset is about pleasure, not gratitude. Gratitude is about care, and by nature, we don't really want to take care. We came into this world to enjoy ourselves, my dear friends. Remember that. If you take away just one thing from this lecture, let it be this. Why doesn't a man say thank you? Why doesn't a woman get genuinely happy or grateful when her husband gives her money? Let's say the husband hands over some money. What's her inner process? She receives it, and what does she think? She thinks, where should I spend it? And right after that, not enough. Or a man eats a meal and thinks, tasty, but it could have been even better. Our minds aren't set on giving care. They're set on enjoyment and always wanting more. This mindset doesn't allow love to flow, and this applies equally to men and women. It's just that each desires something different. It's really important to understand that love doesn't operate on symmetry. There's what we call a symmetrical response. You cook for me, I cook for you. You earn, I earn for you. That's symmetry. But love is asymmetrical. For example, a man earns money. It doesn't mean a woman should immediately jump up and go earn too. Out of gratitude, she might cook, clean, take care of things. That's still a kind of symmetry. But love is asymmetrical. It doesn't expect an equal or identical action in return. But here's the real issue, my dears. We don't even know how to activate love in the first place. Most people are genuinely convinced that if there's infatuation and compatibility, then everything in life will be Coca-Cola, sweet and sparkling. And if that's missing, then something must be wrong, and they need to keep searching. Didn't work out with this one? On to the next. Didn't work out again? Keep moving. That's how most people on this planet think. They go, why waste my time with this person? This isn't working. I need to move on. That's a system error, because love isn't started by pulling a lever. That's not how love works. It's unnatural. What we want is for the car to move on its own, but then it suddenly stalls. And the problem is, we just don't know how to start love. That's what I'm trying to explain to you right now. There's a natural reaction where a person thinks, if I don't feel any gratitude, why should I say thank you? That shows they don't understand how love actually starts working. And naturally, it won't start. You have to do something to get it going. And that something is called methodology. It's a conscious modeling of your mindset, doing what's right. Take a mother's love for her child. That's the most natural thing. Imagine if a mother starts operating out of logic and knowledge. Her little boy says, "Mom, I want to be the world's greatest pilot." And she says, "That's not going to happen." She's thinking logically, "Well, maybe a pilot, but the greatest? No. Your eyesight isn't great, your reflexes are slow, maybe you'll become some kind of pilot, but not the best." Only ignorant parents would say something like that. That's when someone is completely dumb. They don't understand how love works. What should a mother say? "Of course, sweetheart, you'll be the best pilot in the world." You understand? The child feels that love, and it lifts them up. They start developing, growing into a strong and confident person. Love uplifts us. So the mother naturally says, "Of course, my darling, you'll be a wonderful pilot." Now, did she tell the truth? From a rational standpoint, no. But what she did say was something else entirely. She gave her child a blessing. She gave him permission to live fully. Love gives us that life force. Now let's apply this to another example. Let's say a husband comes home from work and tells his wife, "I think my boss is wrong and I'm right." What should you say to your husband at that moment? You should say, "You're so smart," even though deep down you know that if he keeps talking to his boss like that, he's going to lose his job, the fool. You know it. A woman's heart senses these things. But based on how the energy of love works, you say something not because it's true, but because it's necessary. You're activating love, so you tell him, "Of course, let's eat. You're right. You're always right, my darling." Are you saying that seriously? But does your husband even want you to say it seriously? What he actually wants is your support. Like with my wife, whenever she says something, I reply, "Of course, sweetheart, sure, everything's fine, totally right." Then she looks at me all cute and says, "And what do you think?" And I asked her sincerely, "Do you really want to know?" She paused and said, "Probably not. I just need your support." And that's it. That's the whole point, my dears. In love, the truth doesn't matter. It's totally unnecessary. No one needs it at that moment. Your husband needs support. He needs to feel that you're behind him as a man. His whole life he's trying to win, to overcome obstacles, all to gain knowledge, respect, authority, significance, so that you see him as a real man. That's what he wants more than anything in the world. And you just have to say these things playfully, because we're not enlightened enough to say it from the heart just yet. But if you really knew your husband deeply, you'd know he's actually capable of doing great things. Now imagine this. You kept nagging your husband constantly. He finally leaves you and finds another woman, and she lifts him up, inspires him, and suddenly he becomes strong and overcomes his fate. And you sit there thinking, "What the heck? How come he never thrived like that with me?" Is that even possible in real life or not? So what do you think this second woman did? Did she tell him the truth? There are only two options. First option, she saw something really deep in him and believed in that, and she was telling him not what she was seeing, but what she felt inside him. That's the first option, and it's rare. That would mean she's incredibly wise, basically a saint. Second option, she just did what needed to be done. Now let me ask you something. Tomorrow morning, I'm inviting you to join me at the riverside at 8 a.m. How many of you genuinely want to go? See? Not everyone. Here's the thing, my dears, even if you don't feel like it, going will still be good for you. That's what knowledge is. You don't always do what you feel like doing. You learn to do what's right. You gently push yourself, and life starts to change, because good habits stick later, not right away. When something feels good naturally, that's because you've trained yourself, but left to itself, the body just wants to sleep in. And that's not a desire to live, it's a desire to die. Did you know that? Your body wants to give up. It doesn't want to live. It wants to lie around in the morning, which ruins your life. It wants to stay up too late, which ruins your life. It wants to stuff itself before bed, and it also ruins your life. It wants to go overboard with sex till there's nothing left in the tank, and that too ruins your life. Everything your body craves is harmful to your health. That's why we need to learn to live the right way, to live long and strong, so the body becomes our ally, not our enemy. It's the same with relationships. We have the wrong kind of desires when it comes to love. That's the real issue. You think a woman truly wants to devote her whole life to her husband? Come on, she just wants to bleed him dry. So a husband comes home from work completely exhausted, wiped out. She says, "Honey, you look tired." He goes, "Yes." Now do you think she's thinking, "Oh no, maybe I'm asking for too much, too big of a house. That's why he's killing himself at work to pay off our mortgage"? Nope, she thinks, "Great, he's tired for me." Or take the wife. She's been slaving away in the kitchen. She cooks an amazing meal. He eats, then looks at her. She says, "I'm so tired from cooking today." And he goes, "Oh, sweetheart, you must be so tired. You're amazing." But in his mind, "Awesome, she's tired for me." That's who we really are. We're all a bit like little crocodiles just wanting to nibble on our loved ones. This is built into us from nature. One time I watched 2 praying mantises mating, one on top of the other. They look so happy, so cute. Then the female slowly turns her head toward the male, opening her mouth, and in slow motion she bites off his head. He doesn't even fight back. Then she starts eating the rest of his body, while he's still finishing the mating process on autopilot. That, my dears, is the reality we live in. We're all just little crocodiles undeserving of love, and that's the hard truth. So if you want love, yes, it's possible. But you have to know what to do, and then do it out of a sense of duty, not desire. Let's say your husband doesn't make you happy. Then why bother doing anything for him, right? But if you stop trying, then nothing will work. Even if you leave and remarry 5 times, the same problem will repeat itself, because we're born as these little crocodiles. And don't think, in a different relationship I'll be sweet and gentle. It's just that here I'm bitter and cranky because I got unlucky. No, my dear friends, the issue isn't the relationship. The issue is our nature. By nature, we're selfish. We're not worthy of this divine energy of love in this world, and that's why we all suffer. Dr. Torsunov, the kind doctor, showed up and told you the truth. So what do we do now? No matter how selfish a person may be, there's still something inside us, something called gratitude. Gratitude is a kind of energy that rises up when you suddenly see something special in someone. You look at them and think, man, this person has done so much for me in this life. Yesterday, a woman came to me. Her husband had just passed away. She said, "Dr. Torsunov, we were both doctors. We lived together for 40 years, and I've never met a better person in my life. How am I supposed to go on now?" I never got the chance to tell him how thankful I really was. All my life I was deeply grateful, but life just kept moving. Work, responsibilities, daily routine, and I never said those words. Do you know why people suffer so much when a loved one passes away? Do you know the real reason why? They suffer because they didn't do what they should have done. They suffer because they didn't sincerely speak words of purity, pure love and gratitude for what their loved one did. They simply used their loved one. When a loved one passes away, people suffer because they weren't grateful. And so I suggest to you, my dears, not to act from your heart because we lack depth there, but to act out of a sense of duty. Simply initiate love. The first step is to deeply understand human nature. For example, a young man is looking for a beautiful girl. Do you think all girls are beautiful? Why is someone born as a girl?
To fulfill gender functions.
You have an interesting perception of the world. So to you, a woman is a body that gives birth, right? My dears, there is God and there is His spouse. There is love between them. This energy has a perfect divine nature and descends upon people. All types of relationships that you see here on earth have a spiritual, eternal nature. These relationships are perfect. This means they can generate maximum love. The relationship between mother and son, friendships, marital relationships, these relationships are perfect by nature. They all exist in the spiritual world and work perfectly there. There are no problems or psychologists there. Everything functions spontaneously and beautifully there. There are no flaws there. The only reason flaws exist is the sleep of the soul. We don't want to live correctly here. We want to rest from living right. We live for ourselves in this world, so everything feels like a dream. If we were in the spiritual world, all memories would be vivid, colorful, and strong. Remember your wedding. You see it as if in a dream. And your past life you can't even remember. And even if you do remember, as I have learned to do, it's even more like a dream. Everything is like fog, as if it didn't happen to me. But it did happen to me. Even our childhood feels far away, distant and foggy, as if in a dream. We don't have vivid memories. We barely remember yesterday. We live as if in a dream. We are all like hedgehogs in the fog here. The reason is the soul's desire to live for itself. It simply enjoys itself here. It doesn't want to truly live. True life is transmitted from holy people. Holy people are people filled with God. Sometimes a person becomes filled with God and the soul awakens. An awakened soul becomes fully conscious and happy. Then all processes start to happen spontaneously. The desire to help others becomes natural, but for us that is an unnatural state. Therefore, it must be activated through knowledge. Knowledge is what makes the unnatural natural. If I force myself to go jogging every morning for a year, what don't you think I'll want to run after that year? That's what happens. This is what I suggest to you now. I suggest you begin. Where to begin? With the mechanism that initiates love. That mechanism is called respect. Respect not for the person, but for the divine nature within this person. All women possess a feminine divine nature. They are created in the image and likeness of the Lord's spouse. What is the feminine divine nature? This means women have all the best on the outside, which is why they are all beautiful. They have the best energies and the best qualities, and these are outwardly visible. Men, on the contrary, have all the best inside, so nothing is visible, and that's why it's scary to marry a man. A woman is afraid of making a mistake. She is scared because nothing is visible. She doesn't know yet if he is a good person. Women fear marriage. Because men don't show anything. Everything is inside. Women have everything on the outside. That's why men are not afraid to enjoy women. They fear marriage because it requires taking responsibility and carrying the burden, and they don't want that. Respect is part of divine feminine nature. Women, by nature, unlike men, are naturally faithful. A man always wants to leave, to run away somewhere. A woman's heart wants to preserve the family. This desire comes from God. It is always present. A woman really wants it. A man always wants to leave to find another woman. The divine feminine nature is the desire to care, to behave tenderly. A woman naturally loves people. That's why God gives a child to a woman, because a woman naturally loves people. She is naturally shy and conscientious. A woman's conscience is very close to her heart. She feels when something shouldn't be done. A man doesn't. A woman is inclined toward cleanliness. She needs things to be clean. This is also a divine quality. Do women have these qualities? Did you ladies develop these qualities or not? No, you simply have them. From childhood you already primp yourselves. A 2-year-old girl looks at herself, primps, cleans up everywhere, is shy. Isn't that so? You've been like this since childhood, from the beginning. These are divine qualities given by God to women. They are given because this is your nature. This is exactly what must be served. What God gave to a woman, this must be served and honored in her. Because when we respect the divine in a woman, it means divine energy, the energy of love. This is love. This is not sex. This is divine energy, pure and bright. When this energy is activated in a relationship, there will be love between you. If you respect the divine in a woman, tenderness, gentleness, kindness, faithfulness, beauty, and shyness, you will always want to see it. If you respect these divine qualities in her, you want to see them. A husband looks at his wife and sees the divine in her because he thinks about this divine energy, even if she doesn't behave that way. He sees the divine because God gave him the ability to see it. That is exactly what he married. And now about men. The divine energy that activates love is generosity, bravery, prudence, inner strength, patience, self-control, and the ability to win. These are divine masculine qualities that women like. Women admire these qualities: strength, endurance, and bravery. A woman is sensitive to these qualities. She wants to see them in a man, and a man is sensitive to divine feminine qualities. No matter how a wife behaves, if a man wants love in his family, if he wants everything to be okay, then he should always speak with his wife, look at her, and relate to her through her divine feminine qualities. This is what is called the culture of addressing a woman, of being in a relationship with her. You must speak to her tenderly, gently, and kindly, even if she is being capricious or behaving inappropriately. Still, you should speak to her tenderly, gently, and kindly. You must never raise your voice at a woman. That would be an insult to her divine feminine qualities. You should always speak to her tenderly, calmly, and kindly. My dear, could you please get out of bed? It's already 10 in the morning. You've been sleeping too long. My dear, please don't eat the whole cake in the evening. It is bad for your health. That means you should speak very gently and kindly. If you have a little girl, a daughter, and you want her to grow up intelligent and happy, you must always speak to her gently and tenderly. Because when you raise your voice at a woman, her intelligence shuts off immediately. She becomes stupid. She cannot endure rudeness. A woman's psyche cannot bear rudeness. A woman can only endure a kind tone. That's it. She cannot bear any other style. If a man starts speaking seriously to a woman, it immediately overwhelms her. Her brain switches off right away. Isn't that right, ladies? That's why you must speak tenderly to a woman. Don't say, "Don't you get it," or what? She does not have to understand. She perceives everything through her heart. You women here, listening to this lecture now, do you actually understand anything? No, you're trying to feel with your heart. This is mine. This is not mine. This is how a woman perceives things. She sits and thinks, is this mine? Does it suit me or not? Is it mine or is it not mine? Are you applying logic there? You feel in your heart what I'm saying. And later, once you feel it's yours, what do you do with it? You absorb it completely. That's it. I will live like this from now on. No analysis. You just absorb everything and take it all in. Then you go home and your husband sees a different person, imbued with new knowledge. My wife once asked me gently, can I attend choral club courses? I really want to learn about this choral club. Well, I should understand what will happen next. She'd absorb all that knowledge and I'd have to eat these corals for 2 years, whether I want it or not, because she loves me and wants me to be healthy. I replied, of course you can, my dear. Then for 2 years I had to eat these corals until she discovered magical cleaning and forgot about the corals. Because a woman always needs an upgrade in knowledge. She gets imbued with something, lives with it for a while, and then she needs some new knowledge. A woman first feels what's hers, and then, whoosh, her value system changes completely. That's how she works. Ladies, isn't that true? You come home renewed? Yes, a reboot happens, a reprogramming of the soul. Wonderful. That's it. Nothing can be achieved through pressure. If you want a woman to be transformed by your knowledge, you must speak to her with love so that it enters her heart. Then she will do it. That's it. That's the only way it works. So respect for a woman activates love. Respect means seeing her divine feminine qualities. It means treating her very gently, tenderly, kindly, and carefully. It means never being rude to a woman. Will she then behave tenderly and gently with you?
Yes.
Men, you could not be further from the truth. She will be capricious, demand things, act brazenly. She will exploit your masculine nature to get love from you. You know how long I waited for you here? Now give me love. That's how she will behave. Because we are all selfish. Women are selfish in a feminine way, men in a masculine way. She will want a bigger apartment from you, want you to work more, want new dresses, want this and that. She will be capricious. And you must still behave gently and tenderly. Otherwise you won't get anything at all. Because if you don't treat a woman gently and tenderly, she doesn't feel loved. And if she doesn't feel loved, she won't be grateful. If she is not grateful, nothing switches on inside her, and she won't want to take care of you as a woman or bring you happiness. And what do you think? Who should start first, you or your spouse? Whoever came to this lecture is the one who starts. The smart ones went to the smart ones, and you ended up with me. Respect is an ascetic practice. It's directed at the happiness of a loved one. The most important thing in a woman's life is to feel respected. If a man behaves gently and tenderly, that alone is already worth a great deal. It is worth a lot. My dear friends, let me tell you about a phenomenal paradox I discovered not long ago, maybe 2 years back. It shocked me deeply. The same situation kept repeating several times. The Lord showed me this paradox and I was shocked to the depths of my heart. Imagine this. The husband works, is faithful, does everything for his woman, takes care of her, brings money, provides a home, entertainment, hobbies, dancing, flowers, in short, everything a woman could need in life. But he does not understand that he needs to come to his wife, look into her eyes, ask her, how are you? Speak to her very kindly, tenderly, never raise his voice, and always look very closely into her eyes when he comes home. Not go watch hockey, but look into his wife's eyes. He has no such knowledge. He comes home, eats, and watches TV. His wife is just someone walking around the apartment. Imagine how she feels when he shows such an attitude. Imagine also this. You come home, and there's a goddess standing in front of you, and you trudge off to the kitchen. Is that normal? Is this normal for a man? He comes home, a radiant woman of divine beauty is standing before him, and he just walks to the kitchen and ignores her. Is that normal, or is there something wrong with his head? Maybe he's a lizard, not a human being. So, my dear men, if you want your woman to shine like a goddess, you must make an effort. That's what respect means. When you see your wife after coming from work, you need to look at her like this, like I do. She opens the door for me and I say, dear, how beautiful you look. What a lovely dress you're wearing. Where did you get it from? And she says, you gave it to me as a wedding gift. Naturally, I've already forgotten, but she's happy because I noticed and said something kind. When a man behaves like this, gradually he begins to see more and more divine qualities in his wife. She becomes truly beautiful to him if he takes care of her in this way. She opens up. She becomes grateful. I worked on our relationship this way, and one day my wife ran up to me, hugged me, and said, "I'm so lucky to have you." I replied spontaneously, "You had me, you are having me, and you will keep having me." She burst out laughing. These are ascetic practices that bring happiness. What's the paradox? That the husband did all those things that are considered love but didn't know how to respect his wife. When a man earns money, behaves faithfully, doesn't look at other women, brings flowers, this is all considered love. But it didn't reach his woman, can you imagine? Another man never did anything for her in his entire life. He simply treated her tenderly and gently at work and always approached her with care and kindness. He asked how she was doing. He looked her in the eyes. Imagine she left her husband who did everything for her for this fool who didn't even marry her but simply spoke to her tenderly and gently. He gave her no money, did nothing for her, gave her no children, nothing, and she still continued to live with him and didn't return to her husband, though he waited for her. Can you imagine? Now here's another interesting phenomenon. A wife does the laundry, cooks, gives birth, cleans, she's faithful, cares for the home, irons, tidies the house, and does everything. But she cannot respect the divine qualities of her husband. She cannot approach him and look at him with admiration for what kind of man he is. She does everything, but this she cannot do. She argues with him all the time, always insists on her own opinion and doesn't listen to him. Meanwhile, another woman at work constantly admires him and tells him how great he is. She values him and understands his words but doesn't want to do anything for him, and he leaves his wife. He lives with this woman. She doesn't do laundry, doesn't clean, doesn't cook. He does everything himself. She just admires him, and he chooses her. You have gained knowledge now. Can you imagine? So respect is the power that allows your love to enter the heart of your loved one. If you don't do this, everything else is in vain. That's like the horse eating grass and still staying thin. Is it clear? Respect is an ascetic practice. Do you think it's easy for a woman to save money? He tells her, "We will save money." Was a woman born to save money? The women understood the joke, the men didn't. The men are looking at me wondering why they're all laughing. Ladies, once again, were you born to constantly save? Don't laugh yourselves to death, ladies. So what was a woman born for? To spend, not to save. To enjoy money. To spend it in a way that brings comfort and pleasure. To feel good. To live well. To have a soft bed and beautiful clothes. Isn't that what you were born for? Did the men get it now? They don't look very inspired.
They didn't understand.
They didn't get it. You see, men are all totally clueless. We don't understand anything.
You'll have to become a woman.
Yes, of course. So a woman is born for love and enjoyment. She is born to live in joy. The female birth is designed for this. Even if a woman forces herself to do something, she spends the whole day thinking about why she forced herself. And she feels bad about it, right, ladies? She forces herself and then thinks, "Why did I do that?" It feels terrible. A woman needs everything to come through love, even to go jogging at 8 in the morning tomorrow, or just for a walk or a crawl, not to swim, just to watch others swim. For this to happen, a female friend needs to call and say, "Well, shall we go?"
I can't join.
Well, if you can't, it's okay. Next time you can go together. You can create a good people club here and all walk together, stroll cheerfully across open fields. Now, ladies, listen to me carefully. Next time when your husband says, "Now we are going to save money," and you feel very heavy inside, your heart clenches. You think, "My woman's life is over." When your husband looks at you sternly, you feel rebellion and protest in your heart. When your husband starts philosophizing, you think, "My God, how dumb he is." And it's hard. It becomes very hard. And you think, "He doesn't want to care for me at all. He doesn't want to earn money. He doesn't want to understand me. And he keeps spouting his wisdom like he is so smart." To preserve love in your family, you must look at your husband with admiration, despite everything, and say to him, "Yes, my dear, you can do this only jokingly." Likewise, the man speaks tenderly and gently, and the woman responds jokingly, "Of course, you know everything better than anyone, and of course we need to save money." This kind of joke, when it's for your loved one's benefit, is called love. You joke with your child in the same way. You tell him that he will surely be a pilot. You also tell your husband, "Yes, of course, you are the most reasonable." This is called love. Love is not about the pleasure you get from a person. That's infatuation, a gift from God. Love is when you affirm the inner essence of a person, what they were born for on this earth. A man was born to gain knowledge, to become serious, responsible, to achieve his goals in life. This is the purpose of his life. And a woman says, yes, of course you will succeed, you're doing great, everything will be fine for you. In this case, a man feels love. When a woman sees affection, attention, care, tenderness, and constant admiration, she feels love. Your behavior becomes an ascetic practice, but this practice gets much easier once you understand the type of atmosphere in which love thrives. Love doesn't thrive in seriousness, my dear friends. Love lives in an atmosphere of lightness and laughter. Think about how we love children. What do? We joke with them all the time. We play. The atmosphere becomes playful. Same thing when people fall in love. They are walking somewhere together, joking all the time. There is a playful vibe. Now imagine two people have fallen in love, walking side by side, stone-faced and serious. Will love survive between them? Love, this energy of love, is well understood in the East. They have good songs there. Like that one, Jimmy, Jimmy, Acha, Acha. Have you seen this movie? So in this movie, Jimmy is being beaten half to death on stage. He's barely standing. But then his beloved walks out smiling like nothing is wrong, nothing happened. And she sings, Jimmy, Jimmy, Acha, Acha. She means, all good, Jimmy, all is well. Jimmy rises up, finds his strength, and starts throwing his enemies around. The moment she comes, bringing that playful energy, joking around and behaving playfully, he rises and defeats all enemies. That's what love is.
And what if the person doesn't understand at all?
Tomorrow we will continue this conversation about how to ignite love and how relationships should work. We will discuss these topics further. The most important topics are respect and love. What love is and how it works is a very important topic, and no one really knows. The topic of respect is vital. Respect is an ascetic practice, and a very serious one. Every person must step over themselves seriously to do it. It's very difficult for a man to behave tenderly and affectionately. It's not in his nature. It's very difficult for a woman to constantly keep saying, yes, my dear, and to admire her man. It's not in her nature to behave like this. Women are not naturally submissive. Men are not naturally affectionate. But we have to understand that this is what we must do. Otherwise, we won't get anything at all. And we have to do this even if the other person does not deserve it.
Hello. I have a question specifically about showing respect, an urgent one. Specifically, what to do if a husband beats a child. The child is small, not even 2 years old yet. Since the child was 4 months old, my husband thinks the child is manipulating. He is being too harsh, in my view.
Let me answer this question now. A man feels love for a child through the woman. If a man doesn't feel the woman, he won't feel love for the child either. The problem runs much deeper. Again, it's about respect. You don't respect your man. You don't agree with him. You don't behave in a way that makes him feel comfortable. You are always arguing with him. You're afraid of him. You feel he is rough, yet you are not truly there. You are not involved in this relationship. You don't feel his depth, and that's why he gets angry. A man can be in a zone of generosity or a zone of stinginess. When a man is in the zone of stinginess, he behaves very strictly with his wife and child. He doesn't give money. He is always petty, and he counts every penny. This is the zone of stinginess. It can manifest itself in different ways. You need to start agreeing with him. You need to start healing this illness that has developed in your family. Is your child a boy? A man always wants to be strict with a boy. That's his nature, and that's right. But you can soften this through contact with your husband. If you gently, tenderly, and affectionately say to your husband, let's not punish the child so harshly, he will agree. Because he will feel love from you. When a man feels love, he softens. That's how you can always soften a man, by behaving gently and tenderly. But you don't have that contact with him. You can't soften him, and that is your problem. You don't have a path to his heart. You can't reach inside him. A man is very soft and kind inside, but strict on the outside. A woman is the opposite. She is kind on the outside, but strict inside. So with a woman, you must behave kindly on the outside. Don't dig into her soul. Be gentle and affectionate. Don't say things like, you're just lazy. You must be gentle and affectionate. Don't expose her. With a man, you must go inside and understand him. See that he is kind underneath. Angry on the outside, but kind inside. Like a tiger. Fierce on the outside, but kind inside. I've watched videos about tigers. There are funny videos about tigers and lions raised in zoos, and people talk to them like, oh, you're my fluffy, and the tiger starts to behave like a cat with a human. Why? Because the person immediately sees the tiger's inner nature and ignores the aggressive exterior. They become like parents to the tiger. They seem to understand the tiger, and the tiger treats them like parents. He doesn't attack them and does not view them as prey. People even feed the tigers. Same with your husband. You need to feed him, treat him kindly, throw yourself on his neck, hug him and say, "You're my good one, my beloved." And the man immediately relaxes because inside a man is naturally very kind and soft. But on the outside he is strict. You haven't reached your husband's heart. You're afraid of him.
I'm afraid of him. That's true. I know he's kind. It's true. But sometimes I'm scared of him. When I grab the child away, he says, "If you interfere again, both of you can get out." What should I do? Should I not interfere? Should I let him beat the child?
Okay, I'll explain. Let's imagine I have constipation. I go to the doctor and he says, "You need to eat like this and start doing everything differently." I say, "Thanks for the great advice, but when I have constipation, what do I need to do at that very moment?"
Do something.
Exactly. In the moment, what do I need to do? The doctor says, "Do an enema." I say, "That's painful." Then I ask, "Please tell me what to do to get rid of constipation." He says, "Take laxatives." But those don't work right away either. I don't want an enema, and laxatives don't help much. My dears, if you've let it get to constipation, don't expect everything to be great right away. You are lucky your rectum hasn't prolapsed yet. Right now you are destroying your family. You don't know how to behave with a man, and that's why you came to this lecture. This is a neglected situation. You want a quick fix. You get scared for the child and run to your son. But you shouldn't be afraid. Throw yourself affectionately on your husband's neck and say, "You're so good. Thank you for raising our child. Maybe not so hard today."
So at that moment, I should say exactly that?
You won't be able to say that because you're afraid of him. You don't feel his depth. You don't have that connection.
So in that moment, I need to immediately do that?
You shouldn't do that at that moment. You need to make sure that your husband is always relaxed. You need to ensure that he doesn't take it out on the child because you're not helping him relax. You understand? You're behaving in a way that a man doesn't relax at home. He's in an aggressive state. He feels like he's at work when he's at home. He doesn't feel like he's at home. You need to change the system. That's what psychologists say. You go to them and they say, "This is an abuser or a freeloader." They immediately label that person, and the person thinks, "Should I live with an abuser?" It's like going to a psychologist and they say, "Your husband is schizophrenic." And how can one live with a schizophrenic? You think in those categories because those categories have already been instilled in you. You've already been programmed to think that you need to leave a person because they're sick. We are all sick.
There are brain disorders.
We all have brain disorders. Do you understand that? From the very beginning. I explained that to you at the beginning of the lecture. Furthermore, you are unaware of your brain disorder, but others can see it. I'm telling you what to do to fix everything, but your thinking will lead to divorce. Do you understand that?
Maybe go to a psychiatrist.
A psychiatrist? Why should he go to a psychiatrist? He's a man.
Uncontrollable aggression.
The uncontrollable aggression arose due to the wife's misbehavior. Now you're having uncontrollable behavior with your elder. Should you be killed for this? I could say even more. My dear, there is male behavior and female behavior. A woman kills on a verbal level and a man does it physically. You know, when a man beats his wife, it's not because she's doing something wrong on a physical level, she's doing something wrong on a verbal level. The result becomes physical later because the woman is woven of energy and the man from actions. You should always start with yourself. You need to create a good atmosphere of respect for your husband and then he will relax. A man can be in a zone of generosity or stinginess. He has these two zones. In the zone of generosity, he gives in to his wife, says, okay, and he leaves maintaining strictness with his son. Exactly that strictness is what raises him. It's strictness that raises your son, not your kindness. You women spoil boys, you're ruining their lives. The child needs protection from his mother, but only male strictness raises him. There is no balance. Why is there no balance? Because you have no contact with your husband. You can't relax him, calm him down because you don't have a way to his heart, which means there's no respect. That's exactly what I was talking about in today's lecture. When a woman respects a man, he is in the zone of generosity. He doesn't allow himself that imbalance, excessive strictness.
Thank you, I got it.
You can also take the tiger to a psychiatrist, or you can just treat him like a cat, even though he's a tiger. He can tear everyone apart.
There was a case of a famous family who took in a small tiger cub and lived with it, but eventually it ate everyone.
My dear ones, I have given you this example so that you can understand the analogy. You can understand everything correctly, or you can argue with me. You always have two choices. If you argue, you will live your life as before. If you want to understand, to gain knowledge, listen. If you're so smart, then why did you come to the lecture?
Isn't this supposed to be a dialogue?
Dialogue? You should have your dialogue in your head. Look at your life. That's your dialogue. Look at how you behave with men. That's your dialogue. Why? From where? Where is female happiness? Look inside yourself and think about why Dr. Torsunov is here. Maybe for you to understand it, for your dreams to finally come true. What were you thinking about last night? That you want family happiness. That's what Dr. Torsunov is here for. For that you need to listen to him, not argue.
We are listening.
See how good they became right away. That's how women should be. You need to act respectfully, smile. That's it.
The child is 3 years old. In kindergarten, he bites and scratches everyone. At the same time, there is no physical abuse at home from either mom or dad.
Well, we'll discuss it with you. It's a personal question. It's connected with energies. He has certain problems in his subtle energy body. They need to be resolved. Do you have any questions about the lecture?
Not a question, but gratitude. Because we listened to your lectures a lot. Because everything you said, I did the opposite. And at a certain stage of life, I suddenly got an answer. It's very difficult to pretend. You say to make jokes, to play.
Yes, it's very difficult, but it's the only way out.
They're going to be useful for my grandchildren. And besides, I have a profession where I'm communicating with the younger generation. And I suddenly realized how important that is for future husbands and fathers. This topic of yours is very much needed because when you're going to teach a subject in school, maybe it's very important to talk about it from the beginning.
Thank you very much.
The demographic situation has begun to change.
My dear, we don't have time now for a long discussion. Thank you very much. I have a big request to take everything I say seriously. I joke with you, that's true. But I have a great ability to see you, your life, your fate. I've been giving lectures for 30 years. This ability allows me to draw some systematic conclusions. And based on those systematic conclusions, I'm giving you the most important things right now. I'm telling you things that will help you a lot and immediately. You start doing that and immediately your personal life gets better right away. How many of you have listened to the topic of respect, started doing it, and your relationship changed immediately? Here's one man, and here's another man. You see, it works immediately. So start moving in that direction. Okay, unfortunately, we have less time than I thought. Please ask questions about the lecture.
A question about jokes and, let's say, armor in relationships. What is the right way to use it and at what moments? For instance, my wife puts on a beautiful dress. She asks, "What do you think?" She likes it, it's beautiful, and asks for my opinion. I look at her. I can see that somewhere it's either too big or too small. And I say, "Oh, how beautiful it is." And she goes out in the street and people pass by, look and start laughing. In moments like this, what should I do?
Not your problem.
Not because people are laughing at her, but to warn her about it, actually.
I'll explain it to you in a moment. It's very important to understand that these are not just jokes. Women don't understand jokes at all. Try to joke with her, and she'll go crazy. Women don't understand jokes, but there are jokes that are for the good of the man. For instance, I go up to my wife. We've had an argument. I go up to her, I say, "I'm sorry, it's my fault. I don't feel guilty. I just know how to behave properly." And in terms of knowledge, it's a joke. I do it very easily. I approach her and I smile, not like I approach her saying, "I'm guilty." I don't behave like that. Love always lives in dignity. I approach with dignity. I smile and say, "Please forgive me, it's my fault." She says to me, "I'm not going to forgive you because you say in your lectures that you don't really ask for forgiveness. You do it because that's the way it's supposed to be done." And then the pure lies begin. I say to her, "But today I understood. I can understand, can't I? Do you give me that right or not? Today I understood I was wrong, but I didn't actually understand anything." And she looks at me and says, "Okay, then I forgive you." And she hugs me. And then she starts explaining why she was offended by me. And that's when I understand what I was guilty of. These aren't just jokes. It's a behavior designed to make your loved one happy. It's a game. It's playful behavior. But love only lives in play. We just don't know it. It doesn't live in serious behavior. And this game is aimed at the happiness of a loved one. You see your wife. She asks, "Is my dress beautiful or not?" At that moment, she's actually testing you. In loving relationships, a loved one is always testing you. And she asks, "Is this dress beautiful or not?" You don't need to evaluate the dress. Your task is to look at it and say, "It's so beautiful. It really is." And if you want to tell her it's poorly made, do that later. Admire it first. Say, "It's so beautiful." And then say, "You know, any dress, even if it's poorly made, looks beautiful on you." And she'll ask, "Do you think it's poorly made?" And you should say, "I don't know. Maybe that's the fashion. But it seems to me that it's a little off here. It looks so cool, though." And that's it. You don't need to prove anything vehemently, saying, "When you go outside, everyone will laugh at you." It's none of your business. Your business is to make your wife happy. If you want to make a joke about a beautiful dress being poorly made, that can easily be done too. The important thing is that you understand what love is, and then it'll be easy for you to use all these things. And to hear from you that there's a defect in the dress is not your job. Her friend can tell her that. That's her job. Your job is to make her happy, that's all.
Her friend will tell her later, and she'll say, "You lied to me."
It's an even greater unfolding of love. You'll look and say, "Yes, I may have lied, but I really like the way it fits you." And that's it. Do you understand?
Where to get strength?
You need to get strength from nature, from good people, from God. There are divine energies from which we should draw strength. That's what I'm going to tell you about in tomorrow's lecture. We draw strength from divine energies and give it to our loved ones. We don't draw strength from our loved ones. We cannot draw strength from our children, husband, or work. All these things take away our strength. Strength should be taken from nature, from good people, and from God. Therefore, we need to change our lifestyle. We have no time to gain strength. We can only spend it. This is called living in passion. It means that a person is constantly melting away, depleting. Living in pure goodness means switching the toggle. Going out in nature, running, swimming, staying in water, making friends with good people, discussing how to live right, going to the temple, praying. These are 3 types of replenishment. Then we spend energy on our children and spouse. To spend means to serve. The most important service is to admire female beauty, to speak to her tenderly and affectionately. To admire doesn't mean that you really admire. You emphasize the best in your wife, and she becomes like that. That's the whole point. Then you actually start to see it all. She blossoms in front of you. The same is true for men. If you emphasize the divine in him, if you always believe in his divine qualities, he becomes like that. He blossoms around you.
How do you deal with a situation where everyone has individual needs? When you've already gone through the healing process, you know exactly what you need. The person doesn't understand your dietary needs and asks you to cook something specific.
Cook it.
But I can't even stand the smell.
Endure it. One woman asked me, "How do I put up with my husband snoring?" I gave her a simple answer. There were 500 people sitting in the hall. I asked the women, "Which of you likes it when their husband snores?" The women raised their hands. Many women did. "Who doesn't like it when their husband snores?" Some women raised their hands too. I answered them very simply. When you've looked into your husband's heart and understood him deeply, when he snores, it calms you down. And when you don't understand him deeply, his snoring annoys you. Imagine your child snoring. Would that annoy you or not? You're going to sleep soundly. They're snoring, so they're sleeping. Everything is fine.
May I clarify? I've never had problems with being patient with another person's needs. On the contrary.
I know your problems. You don't need to try to explain it to me. I see your situation, my dear. I see everything. I see that you cannot live with your husband. You want to run away from him. The night before last, you were thinking about it, wanting to get away from him. I see and understand everything. You're having a hard time with him. He has his life. You have your life. Because you've never had a relationship with him. You want me to cure constipation right now, to snap my fingers and everything will fall out. It's not going to work. Constipation is a disease. It needs to be treated. And while the treatment is ongoing, the person suffers. You're already constipated. You're already getting away from each other. If you don't do something now, you'll be divorced in 6 months, my dear. Do you know that?
We divorced in 2015. We haven't lived together since then.
So what do you want from me? You don't live together? You're separated. So what do you want from me? You say, "I can't stand meat." Why would you think about it then?
I'm saying that he only begins to understand me when I make concessions to him. He sees that I'm really getting sick, and only after that does he start listening.
That's right.
So should I always do that? Make that sacrifice?
There is no sacrifice. It's called a game. You sit down and cry, and the tears are directed at yourself. Your husband comes up to you. Why are you crying? You say, I can't stand the smell of meat. I don't know how to cook for you now. He says, well, okay.
With spices.
I can't stand spices. I don't know how to cook for you. Play along and cry a little bit. And when action happens, a man only understands actions. He doesn't understand words at all. That's the way his nature works. And you start whining, sitting and crying, not because you've reached your limit, but just because that's how you're behaving.
What should I do then?
And he says, okay, you don't have to cook for me with spices. Don't cry. Everything is fine. He gets into the generosity zone, and then he adds the spices himself during the meal.
Can I just say that I'm sorry? That smell doesn't suit me.
No.
When he's already eaten.
No, you need to sit and cry to activate his intelligence. A man's intelligence is activated through actions. You need actions to perform actions, either crying or stopping talking or some other action. Man understands only actions. He doesn't understand words at all. What's wrong, my dear? Are you thinking about the past now? You'd better think about the future. Study the lectures, change your life. You need to get married.
My psyche has been formed to always be tuned to masculine behavior.
You're just scared.
Crying doesn't work at all.
That's because you don't know what the game is. You don't know what love is. You don't have the knowledge. You sit down, cry a little bit, he'll understand everything. You don't necessarily cry for real, not necessarily to the point of tears. You are a little hurt, cry a little bit, and then hug him and be glad he's there. Love is a game, you understand? A game that gradually turns into reality. If you play it genuinely, if you truly want to bring happiness to your loved one, then you play this game. In this game, the woman yields to the man, does everything to make him feel good. For instance, I once asked my wife what she loved about her father. Her father had passed away. She said, when I went to rhythmic gymnastics, he would walk me to the door, and then when I opened the door, he would stand at the door. She asked, Dad, why are you standing here? Daughter, I'm waiting for you. How long have you been standing here? Since you left, I've been standing here. Was he standing there all this time or not? No. What was he doing? He came, ran to the door, and stood there. She still loves him for that to this day. We have our own house now, and my wife always passes by my window when she comes home. I see her coming and run to the door and stand there. She opens it, gets startled, says, Why are you standing here? I say, I'm waiting for you. She smiles, looks at me. Have you been here long? Since you left, I've been standing here. Now I have a question for you, ladies. Did she understand it wasn't entirely true?
Yes.
Did she enjoy it? This is it. This is what love is. It's woven from a game. It means that you perform actions that please your loved one. A respectful look is also very important to a man. Because if a man doesn't see that look, the energy of love and beauty from the woman doesn't penetrate him. She should look at him with admiring eyes. She will believe and love him for who he is, because she will see the divine in him, and after that will be a real, happy life. I'm telling you how to activate love. Today's lecture is dedicated to that. From the beginning, I've told you that the first thing to do is to care. When a person develops gratitude for your behavior, then they will naturally begin to behave in the right way with you. Because when you behave right in a loving relationship, then you start to respect the person. The man acts gentle, affectionate. A woman looks at him with admiration. All of this happens unconsciously at the beginning because people fall in love. Then falling in love ends because it's not our energy. God pumps us up with love and then says, now try it for yourselves. And it's not going to work. You used to behave like that with me, but now you don't. Why not? Because God doesn't pump us anymore, because there's no knowledge, and the man can't do it himself because he thinks, if I wanted to behave like that, I would, but he will never want to because he's selfish. And that's where it ends. Then people suffer and get divorced and look for someone else. But you need to learn about relationships. Know how the nature of love works and engage in it correctly, then everything will be fine. For instance, the nature of the relationship between an elder and a younger person is such that you shouldn't argue with the elder.
What if you really want to?
You shouldn't. If you don't consider me an elder, why are you spending 3.5 hours in a lecture? Do you understand?
If there is no right behavior in terms of relationship on both the man's part and the woman's part, What should be done when, as a result of these mistakes, other people have already entered their world, for both wife and husband?
What do you mean by other people have entered?
Falling in love with another person.
It's called betrayal.
How do you get these people out?
You can't get them out. You need to establish the correct relationship, and gradually that relationship will become the main one. It's already called surgical pathology. In other words, how do I cure a surgical disease without surgery? It's unknown. It may require surgery. Surgery simply means not communicating with those people who are destroying the family. It's going to be painful, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Thank you. Everything you say resonates with me. There have been situations in my life where I have been convinced of the truth of what you're bringing to people. I want to thank you simply from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much. I wish you all peace, happiness, health, love, all the brightest things in your life. I am very grateful to you for coming to my lectures. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.